So this is Baruch here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and it's time for the ultimate connection with God. That is, we're working on Demekus, Jewish meditation at its best. It's a very inclusive book, which also goes to very high levels as we get into it. Different things that the Kabbalists have been doing for 1,000 years that have been mostly hidden are now coming to light. So, excuse me, here we have the new lesson, which is who is really in control, and he is talking about what's going on in our minds. The last blurb that he said yesterday was what happens when cells divide and multiply in an unbalanced way with no regard for the needs of the total organism. What does this mean? So he says, who is really in control? I'll read here the English. He says, and this rabbi is a rabbi of the name, this is the Recanati, Parshas Ekev. You have a lot of Italian influences in different places in the study of Kabbalah. Not sure why. It is possible attached to the Holy Shekhinah, even though it is in a comparable to a consuming flame. So he says that the Shekhinah is comparable to a consuming flame, but we can attach to it. He says this is possible since the soul is also considered as a flame, so therefore the panemius of ourselves is also a fire, and lit from the light of the Holy Shekhinah. That place is true Dveikus. So if it's possible that which is within us could attach itself to the greater fire, so the fire within us to the greater fire, this is what he says, this is true Dveikus. So let's see what I could do with the words of Rabbi Mimran. He says, ask yourself this: are you able to be free of your mind's control wherever you so choose? Can you control what's going on in your thinking? Can you simply turn off your mind? If that is what you decide to do you even know how to find your mind's off button? If you answered no to these questions, so if you said no, then you can be fairly certain that your mind is in charge of you and not the other way around. Your mind is using you. In that case, you have so thoroughly identified yourself with your mind that you aren't even aware that your mind is enslaving you. It's as if your mind has possessed you to such an extent that you, turn this page, believe that you are your mind. If you can recognize that you are possessed by the mind, and you know that the entity that has possessed you is not you, then you have taken the first step towards a life of attachment to your innermost being, leading you to an attachment to the Ribbon Shel Olam, to the master flame, which he mentioned earlier, which is the concept of the master flame. When you understand that you are not the thinker, then you can take a step back to gain an objective view of the mind, so you can observe and come to know what it is. Let us stop for a moment to put this theory of being a watcher of the mind into practice. Now, this is one of the main teachings of Rabbi Mimran, is to learn how to watch what's going on in your mind. Let me read it again. Let us stop for a moment to put this theory of being a watcher of the mind into practice. He says this is what to do. Close your eyes and simply be aware of the random thoughts that come and go through your mind. Imagine that you are an objective bystander watching all the activity in your head, including the very thought that is telling you to watch your thoughts. Now, let me say this again. You are an objective bystander watching all the activity in your head, including the very thought that is telling you to watch your thoughts. You watch this. You can do this. This might feel strange at first, but very soon, with a bit of practice, you'll see that it is actually possible to be conscious of every thought that enters your mind and demands attention. If you give in to that demand, allowing your attention to be drawn to the thought, that thought will have succeeded in possessing you, and you are no longer the master of your mind. Now, let me read this part again. He says, if you give in to that demand to listen to me, to start tuning into the thoughts, allowing your attention to be drawn to the thought, that thought will have succeeded in possessing you. Now you are the thought because you put yourself into the thought. You are no longer the master of your own mind. So he says, once you begin to observe your thoughts for what they are, that is, entities that are separate from yourself, you will find that you have success to a higher level of consciousness. And on this level, there are many things you suddenly come to understand. You begin to realize that thought is by no means all there is to our human intelligence. Suddenly, let me move this up a little bit, you know that there is a vast amount of intelligence that can take you to a realms above and beyond the limitations of thought alone. Thought is only one infinitesimal facet of that intelligence. In fact, all the things that truly matter, that is, beauty, joy, creativity, love, inner peace, come from a realm that is beyond what the mind can conjure. And when you realize that, you begin to wake into a stunning new reality. Here's a little blurb that he writes at the end. There is a vast amount of intelligence that can take you to realms above and beyond the limitations of thought alone. So he's asking us to come to learn how to live beyond the realm of thought. This is Baruch Fleischman. This is the Tikkun Elevator Kollel. We've been listening to Rabbi Mimran, the ultimate connection with God.